All right, we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize for the 5 minute delay. We were dealing with some technology issues, and technology is not always predictable. Um, I am Crash, also known as the Odd Crapple, and this is the Ranting and Rolling podcast, the music or message of music series. And I have probably one of my favorite guests ever with me today, Mallissa Capri. She is somebody that I've known, and she's probably going to yell at me for aging us like this. She's somebody I've known for 15 years. I met her when we were working at Six Flags in 2005. I was working in the foods department, and I think fittingly, she was working in the entertainment department. And the one thing that I always look forward to was because I was in the foods department, they typically always stuck me in what was called the backstage area, which was where all of the area employees hung out. One thing I always looked forward to was Mallissa coming back and just announcing to anybody that could hear within a 5 mile radius that she was present. And it cracked me the fuck up because the energy that she had was just, you couldn't match it, and you couldn't be in a bad mood. So I wanted to make sure that I had her on in this series because she's a natural born performer, and I think talking about the emotional connection to music and performing is something that she will be very good at and very intelligent with. So it was almost a no-brainer. So I'm going to let Mallissa introduce herself, and we will go into the conversation from there.
So my name is Mallissa Capri. I have been a performer for over a few years, centuries, who knows.
You're immortal, so I mean...
I have been tossed between Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
I will with a grain of salt. I love performing my whole life. I mean, I started off young in the ballet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was due to a huge problem that I'm dealing with now. When I was born, I had issues with my left side. My left side was a little bit paralyzed. So my adopted mother put me in ballet.
Mm-hmm.
So performing has always been really big to me. It helps me strengthen who I am as a human being.
That's awesome. Now, I mean, dance has likely been around since the dawn of humankind, and for me, my outlook on dance is it's probably the strongest form of expression of emotion because you're visually expressing through your body language, but you're using music to help with that expression. So if in your own words, like I know that people can dance around, without music, but we tend to call them crazy. But in your own words, how does the marriage of music and dance help somebody's mental and emotional health?
It's very easy. I've gone through depression for years. I was in abusive relationships, and music and dancing for people was that moment of stardom where people only focused on me, and felt I felt like free. You know what I mean? It's like to hear the music and to sing and to dance, and you just come alive, and then you watch everybody's reaction to you dancing. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's just a feeling that I can't express because you know me. I love working off people's reactions when I'm dancing. So if I'm like, "Ooh," and somebody's like, "Hey," and I'm gonna do something else just as fun, but it definitely has helped my mental state of mind.
Hmm.
Um, oh, sound frequencies and everything like that. Um, it's just I don't know, it's the rhythm and it just steals my heart and helps me perform better for people.
Um, would you go so far as to say it's therapeutic? Like,
Uh,
I, do you know? I mean, I know you probably don't have a lot of medical knowledge, but um, do you know if there is some form of music therapy, like literal music therapy?
Um, well, I know with me personally, I have suffered from migraines forever.
Mhm.
And when I need to, you know, calm down and like I I listen to a lot of relaxing music, nature, water for me, water's huge. So rainstorms, even flowing rivers, it definitely does help and the pitch and tone of it just does something to you,
Mhm.
kind
Um,
of euphoric.
yeah, I like that word. I use that word a lot. Now, as far as dance and performance goes, are you professionally taught or are you self-taught?
I'm professionally taught. I worked
Okay.
with the Russian for over 12 years.
Wow.
I did ballet, tap, jazz, ballroom, salsa, merengue, capoeira. Um, I did a lot, and it really helped my training when it came to performing in the club.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my dreams of being a professional dancer were ruined when I fell and hurt my hip. Um, and my dance company actually fired me. Yeah.
Wow. Um,
So I
well,
went to the club, started dancing.
okay. So how long, because you and I met in 2005, how long before then had you started dancing in the club?
Um,
Or were you old enough at that time? Because I mean, we've known each other for 15 years and I don't even know the age gap between us. I think you might be a little bit older than me.
I am a little bit older.
And I know,
Um,
I know it's dangerous for a guy to say that to a woman, but I'm already in a wheelchair, so I love you, but you don't scare me.
yeah. Please, I used to sit on your lap and you'd roll me around the dance floor. I'm like,
Yeah,
watch out, meals are clean. So, like, and I loved it. You were one of the most exciting people to see.
really. And
Yes.
see, I,
Oh, you give me spirit and hope and even watching you and the joy that you got from performances and even just in general in public, you always inspired me to be a better person, to be grateful for what I have.
wow, that was unexpected. I did not see that turn coming. Because, and I think you and I have a very unique perspective on life. Um, because although I mean, and I don't know your personal views on this, and obviously I want you to be able to voice those, but for me, I've never been made to feel like you've known me long enough where I've never used the words disabled or handicapped to describe myself.
Not
I don't believe in those words because there's nothing I'm incapable of doing. I just do things differently, and
yeah,
I think it teaches me how to improvise. And I think that humans should always be forced to learn how to improvise because I think it strengthens your soul, essentially. So,
absolutely.
the one thing that, from a social or political stance, the one thing that always angers me is when somebody tells me that I'm nobody should challenge the things that I think or say because I'm part of a protected class. And
Right.
it's like I don't feel like I need to be protected because there's nothing for me to be protected from. It's all just something to learn from. I mean, there are people I actively choose not to be around because they give off bad energy, but I don't think I need to be protected. And if you don't mind, I mean, from your perspective, I know that there's a lot of narrative going around right now that the LGBT community is a protected class. As an individual, what is your view on that? Do you feel you need to be protected, or are you like I know you were 15 years ago, where you can hold your own?
I hold my own. Everybody who knows me, I've always held my own. I will say what I say, and I'll stand by it. Everybody who knows me knows I'm one of the proudest transgendered women around. I've never been ashamed of my sexuality. Um, and, you know, a lot of people who know me, they don't judge me any differently. They say, you are who you present yourself to be. And
Mm-hmm.
I always to have this form of like class about me where I'm respectable to you, be respectable to me too. I
Mm-hmm.
never judge you. You are, I'm not going to call you out and be like, oh, you're a breeder. No, I'm not going to do that. Just like I don't like being called a tranny or a chick with a dick, if I can say that. But, it's all in, it's, we all want our own respect, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Have I had to have a lot of discrimination? Absolutely. It comes
Mm-hmm.
with the territory. But with this bomb ass personality, it's it's hard to dislike me because one way or another, I'm gonna win you over. Whether it's a smile, a hello, you're looking good today. Did you change your hair? Oh, you did. Your piece is working for you. But it's all in how you respect another human being. And I think right now, with everything that's going on, we are all human and we all just want to be respected.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as people remember to respect each other's as human beings, there shouldn't be an issue. I mean, if we were any, if we were immortal, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we would be hello, but we're not. We're human. We have flaws. We make mistakes. I think everyone needs to remember and pipe down just a second and remember you have the same as me. We all bleed at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to judge you for what? I'm worried you're staring at my husband or you're staring at me, but I'm not. And it came to the whole thing when, the whole bathroom situation. I'm just trying to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm not there to be creepy or anything, I don't I don't need people coming up to me and being like, "Oh, excuse me. Are you
Yeah.
supposed to be in the bathroom?" Well, Dolly Hinkle, what do you you know?
Mm-hmm. It,
So,
it,
I mean, I could go on for hours about it, but at the end of the day, we are only human.
mm-hmm. Um,
So,
like that's a lot to think about. So I'm processing that. Um, now I need to figure out where to go from that. Hold on one second. Like that was
had a whole script written out for this. Did I stump you?
well, I mean, it was so kind of deep and came from a genuine place that I'm, trying to take it all in and, kind of process that. I like that. Um, uh, wow. I don't think there are many people that can say that they've left me speechless.
That was the first time.
Um, now, talking about I will get back on the topic of dance and music in a minute, but I think you really touched on something that I had in my notes, and um, if you're okay with it, um, do you mind if I talk about when we first met when you were pre-transition?
Yes,
Um,
that's fine.
Obviously, when we met, you hadn't. I don't know if you were had started yet or if you hadn't, but I think being with you at Six Flags, um, and might I like people need to experience you running through a gravel parking lot in red heels. I'm just saying because that was probably the most invigorating thing that I have ever seen is you running through a gravel driveway in heels, screaming at the top of your lungs for people to pay attention to you. And it cracked me up every day. Um, but I think that just to touch on a general misconception that I think a lot of people outside the LGBT community have when somebody says that they are trans and then you interact with them after you've gone through their transition. I think a lot of the confusion and disconnect comes from, am I still interacting with the same person? And I think what needs to be understood, and something I think you helped me understand, is when I met you, you were pre-transition, and then we were disconnected for about a year after the park had closed for the season, and then we reconnected when we were both going to the same bar. But obviously, your physical appearance was different. But
Right.
after realizing that it was you, it's like the one major thing I realized is when you're talking to a trans person, you're not talking to you should not be concerned with the physicality of who you're speaking with, because the way you and I connected, in my opinion, I was still talking to the same person because I connected with your mind and your heart, and you that never changed, even though you changed your appearance, because you changing your appearance has nothing to do with me.
Right.
It should not be a concern of mine, because I connected with you. Like, you aren't this. But in the same sense, you needed to look in the mirror and see what you saw up here. Is that and a right interpretation of it?
Um, yes, actually, well, a lot of women in the in the LGBTQ community will, especially for transgenders,
Mm-hmm.
we are diagnosed with gender dysphoria,
Yep.
which is basically you don't you're not who your body is,
Mm-hmm.
and I never felt whole as a person. I always felt like something was wrong with me. Um, I I hated being a guy. I
Mm-hmm.
hated it. I was shy. I was kind of bashful. And then I created this supernova of a woman who's strong, bold, a little, risque at times. Um, and
Scary as hell when you're pissed off, because
yes,
I've seen that too. I think when we were hanging out at the bar one night, you got pissed off at somebody, and and this might have happened on other occasions, but I only one that I remember. I think you threw your shoe at somebody across the parking lot.
yes. I I have an Italian temper,
Mm-hmm.
and known to rip off car doors. I took on three guys at one time in an argument because they disrespected a female at my club, and well, they were disrespecting all females,
Hmm.
basically walking up, touching their chest, and you know that's just disrespectful to anybody.
Hmm.
So when they me, I decided to give their mind a whirl and drop my voice to a man's voice, which, if anybody knows me, that's one of my favorite things to do, to be like, yo, don't do that. Which
Yeah.
it's on a like a mind blown, right?
I think it shocked me the first time you did that. There was once or twice you had to do it at the park, and I it was, even though it wasn't directed at me, I was still in the vicinity, and it still threw me for a loop and was like, wait, what the hell did I just hear?
Yes, yeah, because people don't expect that from me. I'm very um, reserved sometimes, I would
Hmm.
say, and I like to, be who I am. And if you're going to push me to that limit, I'm going to let you know about yourself. So if I have to drop it a few octaves, I am perfectly fine with that.
Hmm. Um, Now, uh, there are certain, and actually, because of you, and because of my interest in learning, I actually, when I got into YouTube, I started following a lot of creators in the LGBT community. And there's one that I follow, and are you familiar with a lot of the creators on YouTube or no? Do you kind of get into that world?
I, you I watch a lot of different stuff. But right now I'm not really into it because I'm more focused on my sobriety and
Hmm.
working every single day, two jobs.
Yeah. Um, well, there's one particular one I watch. She's a trans woman. She's about 10 years younger than us. Like I said, I know you, I think you're a little bit older than me, but roughly she's about 10 years younger than us. She's still in her 20s, I believe. Um, but the thing that always shocked me was you have never sounded different to me. So I think that's also, and please know that when I say this, it's not meaning that I needed to be comfortable, but I think that's why it was a comfortable switch for me to see you visually how you saw yourself. So
Right.
me switching to referring to you by a different name, it wasn't even a thought in my mind because I was still interacting with you. You just wanted to go by something different. That was what it was to
Right.
me. The one thing that I never quite understood until I started watching this particular content creator was the need for um, working on feminizing your voice and I guess what they call facial feminization
Yes.
is um I never I mean being even though I've technically always kind of been around the LGBT community because my dad is gay. So I've always been very comfortable around them, but admittedly until I met you, my knowledge of the community really was very, very limited. But I think being around you and being around that environment, specifically at the bar, the one in Glens Falls, that went through so many damn names. Um, but I think even though I was not part of the LGBT community, I felt comfortable there because I think everybody there kind of had a sense of what it was like to be an outcast, and we all kind
Yes.
of connected on the same thing. So it didn't matter that I was straight. It didn't matter that there were, gay and lesbian and transgender people there. We all connected on the same thing. And I have to wonder why is it so hard now to find things we can connect on as opposed to everybody just automatically jumping to what divides us?
Because, I mean, that's that's kind of hard to talk about because everybody feels their own sense of right or entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess it really all depends. It's gonna get dark for a second. Um, how comfortable you are in your own skin, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dealing with people's judgment is really hard. Um, so I guess it's really just each person. I mean, if you're feeling negative about your skin color or, you know, who you are, you're going to react differently than somebody who feels confident in themselves. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it took me years to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't have any worries. I don't have to think, oh, is somebody going to hate me? Is somebody going to not like me? Because at the end of the day, I like myself.
Mm-hmm.
I just think people need to be a little happier with themselves,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And yeah, and that was actually something that was in my notes. It's like I don't necessarily think that the hate that we receive is always a reflection of us. I think the hate we receive is a reflection of the discontent that somebody feels with themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
one of the things.
Or even their environment that they grew up in, or they
Mhm,
feel like, oh, you have a better life than me because you grew up with money or because you grew up on the right side of, the train tracks. There's
mhm,
so many things that attribute to what people think, and it doesn't help social media and everything putting, labels drive me nuts. Okay, like if I date a man, people are obviously going to think, oh my gosh, he must be gay. No, he's a human being in love with another human being.
mhm.
Like, what does it matter my gender? You don't have to worry what's in my pants. He knows. So why
Right.
are you worried? Why are you thinking, "Oh, this is wrong," or "Ooh, this is taboo"? No, it's a matter of when you have a connection with somebody and
Mhm,
you are safe and feel confident that they're not going to hurt you. What does it matter their gender? I've
right.
dated women, I've dated men, and it's the connection I have with a person.
Mhm,
And I've always had to deal with, oh, well, they must be gay or she's a lesbian. And I'm like, no, they're a human
yeah.
in love with another human. Like,
Um, w- Now there's a I mean, there are a lot of them on YouTube, but there is one specific. Um, I guess she refers to herself as trans, but I mean that's highly contested, I guess, amongst the community on YouTube. Um, it's The one thing that she is known for is very strongly saying that if you don't, if you're unwilling to date a trans person, that automatically makes you transphobic. And I'm wondering what your opinion on transphobia is, because there, and this goes back to, um, when I first started seeing you at in the bar scene when you were doing drag performances. Um, I have to admit, I was really confused because I rolled up in that bar not knowing what I was about to see, and there were there were drag queens there that were more convincing than biological women, and it confused the
Yeah.
shit out of me. And so I think that was another thing where I realized that I do agree. I do have to say that physicality does have something to do with it, because I think that you have to be visually attracted to somebody
Yes.
to want to know more about them. And
Mhm.
I think that the emotional I think the emotional and the intellectual attraction comes after that. But I think that the initial physical attraction has to be there. So I'm curious.
Right.
I want to know what your view on like transphobia is, and is it used as a buzzword to try and stifle people that have a different opinion?
Um, okay. So here's my thoughts on this. I don't think there is transphobia. I think there's lack of education.
Mm-hmm.
I think a man like me, one of my very best friends,
Mm-hmm.
when I go out to the bars with them, um, they have a song that they sing. And please, this is what guys get to. But I try and talk to a guy first and be like, by the way, I'm transgender. My friend is gonna sing a song. Cue song. And they're like, hey dude, that chick you talk to, that chick's got a dick. That chick's got a dick. And it's chick with dick. Like, I'm proud of who I am.
Uh-huh.
I've never been ashamed, and my friends are like mind blown. Like, they've accepted me. They've been here to help me through everything. And I literally think there is no transphobia. I think it's, you know, people are just not educated, or
Mm-hmm.
it to the whole thing, and they're just like, you're what? You're why would you do that? And it's
Yeah.
like, well, you haven't been introduced to somebody like this, so get to know me, you know, listen to me, let me talk to you, let me, and there's people worth putting the time into, and there's people who you just want to stay away from. You
Mm-hmm.
know, me personally, I don't like negativity. So when somebody comes off as like, that's whack, like, how can you do that? What you trying to play jokes on me? You a clown? And it's like, no. I'm trying to live my life every day and enjoy myself with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
But nice to meet you. Hi, I'm Melissa. If you don't like me, walk on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go real bad.
Um, Something that, because I want to hear it, because it's been far too long, and I'm sure you haven't forgotten. Do you remember what you used to scream across the parking lot at anybody you knew that was coming to the bar? Do you remember the one word that you used to scream to get their attention?
Hit
And
him with a
I'm
hard.
Yeah. We won't actually
Yeah,
say we won't actually say the word because it might get us banned off of YouTube. But
right.
there are still times where I'm just sitting in complete silence, and you screaming that will pop into my head, and I will just instantly I'll instantly crack up, because that is the one thing that just brings me joy, is just remembering that, and how it used to catch people so off guard, because you could be in the middle of a conversation and just randomly, without warning, you'd scream that, and everybody would just be like, wait, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, yeah. Did you know that back in the 1700s, that word was actually a term of endearment? It meant you were a trustworthy friend. And
Really?
yes, but somehow it is turned into a negative word, and I talked to some of my friends, and like my one friend actually at work,
Mm-hmm.
they say that all the time in England.
Yeah.
And it means something else there.
Yeah.
It's like being like, "Oi, wanker." It's
Yeah.
it's one of those words that people are like, oh, but then you're like, I
Yeah.
got you.
Um, when we get off stream, I'll send you something. I actually wrote something a while ago. It was after the death of George Floyd. I wrote something about what I see as reductive language. It's reducing somebody down to a, like you said, a label instead of understanding who the person is in their entirety. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that was part of the reason I wanted to do this, because my whole purpose for YouTube is because I want to understand people better. And I think that, with your background and with my background and the things that we've had to deal with from a social aspect, I think we have a shared goal in just trying to understand people and understand ourselves.
Yeah. You know, I think every day, if I can bring joy to one person, or I can make one person's day, you know, it sets off a chain reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So, say you're walking into a store and somebody is in a bad mood, they didn't find what they wanted, and you go, have a good day. Now, they're either going to take that as a, well, screw you, you have a good, or they're going to be like, you know what, I may have not gotten what I wanted, but
Mm-hmm.
I am going to try a good day. And then that's going to go, say he goes and puts the cart away. Somebody else is coming closer. Before he puts the cart away, that woman is looking at him. He turns and gives her the cart.
Mm-hmm.
It, it happens like that. And I just try and think of all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know, I wish that this kindness just happened more,
Mm-hmm.
um, because there's so much anger out there, so much hate, and it's really sad, and it hurts a lot. But you know, I think if there's more people out there like me who just want to smile, dance around on the dance floor, and make people smile, I think the world would be so much better.
Yeah. You and I, this time, because I know that there was a span of time from when I left New York to now that we were, disconnected for a short time. But recently, when we reconnected on Facebook, um, you had, just finished dealing with some legal stuff that you were dealing with, and I'm curious how, like, even I mean, I'm trying to think of how long ago was that? Because it seems like it was only a few weeks ago, but it was like months ago, wasn't it?
No, I literally just got done with parole.
Yeah, I did see that. Um, but it's like when you come out of a situation like that, do you automatically is the anger gone, or do you just have to, you know, constantly remind yourself to look at the positive around you because of what you are regaining as far as freedom and such?
Okay, so there was never anger. Um, the only anger I had was in myself.
Mm-hmm.
That I let myself go so much that I tried to escape from life through alcohol and disregarding the law.
Mm-hmm.
I drink at the bar and then get in my car and drive home. I may live 2 miles down from the bar, but I could have hurt somebody.
Yeah.
I could have ruined my life by ruining somebody else's life, and it didn't, I could have gone 5 years just on probation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge gave me this choice. He says you can do 1 year in prison, or you can do 5 years on probation. And I said, well, that's no, I'm going to do 5 years probation. And then I stopped. I digress. And I I said, you know what? You're going to need to go through this. You're going to need to feel what it's like to lose all your privileges because you were acting very privileged. Yes,
Mhm.
you had a job. You paid all your bills. You were a contributing, person in society, but you took it for granted. You
Mhm.
know, they stripped me of all of this. They stripped me. They put me in a men's prison.
Mhm.
Um, they put a binder on me, so my chest was bound down.
Mhm.
Um, they cut my hair. Um, in prison, I was called a mook. I was harassed. Um, multiple attempts of people trying to rape me.
Mhm.
Um, I even had COs that were just horrible to me.
Mhm.
Was and then there was people who wanted to protect me
Mhm.
and keep me safe, and COs even wanted to keep me safe. And it's like, you know, I I'll never forget. So I was on a DWI floor,
Mhm.
and this one guy we called Poppy, he I get up, you know me, my personality, I'm like, la, 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 like just happy, right? In a men's prison, you are not going to hear some woman's voice coming down the hallway, singing the Smurfs song. It's not going to happen. So he goes, MJ, what the hell? This morning, first thing, you're like singing in the hallways, sounding all happy. He's like, I got excited because it sounded like a woman was on the dorm. And I was like, no, you know, but I had to go through and experience all of this because I had that sense of entitlement where I could drink and you're not going to tell me I can't drive. That's it. I
Mhm.
also went through some hardships of my own. My boyfriend at the time was cheating on me. My best friend just committed suicide, and it was the anniversary of my mother's death.
Mhm.
So that was like triple trifecta, and I kind of, as we call it, the fuck it's. I had the fuck it's. I was like, fuck
Mhm.
it, drink, I'm gonna drive. There ain't no consequences. You can't stop me. And it's like, what? Yes, we can. By law, we can stop you.
Mhm.
And I wanted to blame the cop for pulling me over all the time. Oh, he's being prejudiced because I'm trans. No, he's doing his job. And if you didn't learn by the first time or the second time, by George, the third time should have stopped you. Like,
Mhm.
hello, I know you're blind, but pull it together, sister.
Yeah.
So now here I am, 1 year, 11 months sober,
Mhm.
and I feel so much more proud of myself because I have accomplished these hardships. I have proven to myself that I can stay sober, and I don't need alcohol to deal with my problems. It wasn't even dealing, it was coping. It
Mhm.
was, I just said, well, I don't have to deal with it. I'll take another shot of vodka. I'll deal with it tomorrow. No, it builds up and builds up and builds up. And it was horrible because I didn't see it. I thought I was in control of myself. I thought I was an amazing person. And really, I was putting other people's lives at risk.
Mhm.
And it really bothered me that I did that. You know, they say, oh, they, they asked me, my counselor in prison, she said, was your crime a victimless crime? And I thought about it. And at first I was like, there were no victims. Nobody was hurt by what I did. And I was wrong. And I thought about it. And then I said, yes, there were tons of victims. My father, my grandmother, my friends, the people I put at risk of driving.
Mhm.
It there were victims everywhere. The people who had to help me when I was in prison, sending me money. The woman Rainey, my best friend Rainey, she talked to me every single day
Mhm.
while I was in prison. And she kept me going and let me know what was going on with everybody on the outside. I lost 12 people while I was in prison.
Oh
12
wow.
people. I want to say 6 of them was because of alcohol. My best friend, Pacifica Rim, I lost her. Patrick, one of my bartenders, and the list goes on.
Hmm.
Uh, my, and it's sad. And I wish if I was there on the outside, I could have helped them. I could have talked to them one more time. But what help would I have been without realizing I'm doing it myself?
Hmm.
So who was I to help everybody when I myself was poisoning myself? And it was
Right.
like it's hard realization.
Hmm.
You know, I pride myself in being confident and secure, but really I was insecure and I had no control of myself. And
Hmm.
I can honestly say I love myself now. And you know, the the next person I decide, well, when it comes down to dating somebody, um, I can actually care about them.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, but I was in relationships and I just threw money at them. I was like, here you go. Here, go buy some liquor. Get away from me. I have to work. I have to go to work. And then once I'm done with work, I'll come home and I'll hang out with you.
Hmm.
I thought that was good. I thought that was good enough.
Yeah.
I didn't know what loving somebody was. I didn't know what, caring. And now I do.
Yeah. Um, one thing that I want your perspective on, do you find, because I don't think that you'll disagree with me on this. The one thing I found when hanging out at the bar when we all used to, was even though it was a safe space for people in the LGBT community, there was what I found hanging out in there was a lot of animosity between people in the LGBT community. And I think that shocked me because from somebody outside looking in, you're thinking, oh, they're a community of people that, they support each other. But and I won't name specific individuals, but you'll probably understand who I'm talking about. There was one very, and I know me saying this makes it weird because everybody's taller than me, but there was one very, very tall individual who made his presence known, and he was just he came off to me as a very toxic individual, and he was the one that I think always was the center of a lot of drama. So I'm curious what your perspective is on the the hate that you receive from outside the LGBT community and the hate that you receive from inside the LGBT community.
Well, we in the community can be very shady. We love going to the library and reading books of people. We love telling people, you know what? I'll read you like a book. Sit down, you're going to like this chapter. And it happens between us all because we are catty. And again, jealousy stems from, your own insecurities.
Hmm.
And I was a better dancer. Maybe they were a better singer. Maybe they were just, it was just, we can be catty and shady. And, sometimes that stems from what goes on outside the club because the hate there, it hits us and we bring it inside and we're, catty to each other. And it's sad. But at the same time, you know, in the community, uh, we all know everybody's business. We know who's sleeping with who and who's not supposed to be sleeping with who. And oh my God, he just turned gay. Like, oh, she's a lesbian. We can tell by her. But it's like, again, who cares? Um, in the straight community, um, I have a lot of people in the straight community who are part of my alliance, who are part of my support. And right now, I really, you know, I couldn't do what I've done today without them. So
Hmm.
my straight alliance, I just call them support. I call them, my. It's hard for me though because the people I thought were my friends ended up being more acquaintances.
Hmm.
Uh, some of the people that I thought were really there for me weren't
Hmm.
really there. They were there to be, as you said, toxic.
Hmm.
Ooh, let's watch Melissa get really drunk and see what she does tonight. Let's watch her get in a fight with like six guys. You know, oh, give her one more shot. I bet she won't do anything crazy. I'm going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to fly off the handle if somebody says something. And I was really judgmental myself. And I was really mean too. And I had a lot of hate. And it was because, oh, you're skinnier than me. You're prettier than me. You're more feminine than me. And it's like, I had my own insecurities. So I
Hmm.
put them out there. And it was really petty of me to be like
Hmm.
that. And now I want to say I'm more empathetic towards others. And I listen, I take it in, and then I speak on it because you don't know what those words are going to mean to somebody.
Hmm.
I Before I got my sobriety, I was very suicidal.
Hmm.
Even though I had this body and I thought I was confident and everybody loved me and blah, blah, blah. No, I still wasn't happy with me, and a lot of that stemmed from a really horrible relationship that I was in, where physical and mental abuse took over and made me insecure about who I was.
Hmm.
So I'm insecure about myself. So let me pick on you. Let me pull out your flaws. And it's like, why should I do that to somebody else? I survived. I've come out of this much better. So if I can help somebody else, I'm going to. That's my
Hmm.
goal. I have a second chance to help people, and that's what I'm going to do.
Hmm.
You know, long time ago, I watched this show on MTV. It was called
Hmm.
Cat. You
Yep.
know the show.
Yep.
And I was really, really mad. So a trans woman ended up, I guess, catfishing a guy and then didn't want to meet him or want anything to do with him because she didn't tell him she was trans.
Hmm.
And then they did this whole reveal on, uh, you know, uh, on TV, and she was like, "Well, I was scared because I'm trans and I didn't know if he would accept me and blah blah." Stop, stop, girl.
Hmm.
I mean, we're beautiful, but at the end of the day, 5 o'clock shadow is 5 o'clock shadow. Uh, come on,
Yeah.
come on. Like, you tell a man, you be truthful, you be honest. Don't be like, well, I'm beautiful in my pictures and filters, and then ruin somebody's life by bringing them on TV. And I got so mad about that. And then I had a girl that I was mentoring. She goes, "What's your opinion on Caitlyn Jenner?" And I was like, "Oh, here we go." And I got really upset about that too because I feel for her pain and what she
Hmm.
had to go through, but at the same time, she didn't go through what some of us other girls go through. You know,
Right.
have the money to just get the surgeries or, you know, feminize and do all those things. And at the time, I was a little prejudiced against her because I was like, well, if I had that money, I'd go and just snip, tuck, and pluck away, call me a turkey. But then I think about it and I'm like, at the end of the day, it had to be a struggle and a battle every day. Not only being in the public eye,
Hmm.
but know that you're not who you are.
Yeah.
So I gave her more credit. But when you asked me back in the day, did I like her? I said no, I didn't, because she didn't have to go through what we go through. She has money, which was just a ridiculous thing.
I Well, I mean, there is some validity to that statement in the sense that she likely had easier access to resources and didn't have to wait as long. So I understand the sentiment. Um, Me as a straight person, anybody watching this back that wants to tear me down will probably tear me down for this. But my initial reaction, um, obviously having known you, I was a little bit more understanding of trans issue. Um, but my issue with Caitlyn Jenner was I don't necessarily think you needed to do it in front of a camera. Like I don't think it needed to be done in front of a camera because that sounds too much like a cash grab.
Yep.
Because as soon as the story came out that she was transgender, she ended up having her own show, and I think that's what soured it for me.
Yep.
And I don't. I mean, obviously, I don't know her personally, so I'm not going to have a personal opinion of her. But I just think that that wasn't necessarily helpful. I don't necessarily think it was helpful to her. I don't think it was helpful to her. And I don't think it was helpful to the message that the trans community has struggled to send to everybody else that doesn't understand.
Yeah. I mean, it bothered me because you're an Olympic medalist.
Mm-hmm.
You have family on TV. You're going through problems and issues, and then you come out as trans, and you go through the transformation. Then you get a show, and you're talking to other women, and it's like, where did you have to go and deal with the discrimination every day? People, you know, because I feel like, and this could just be me, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get hate on it, and that's totally fine because you know what? I love a little bit of hate. But at the same time, where did you have to do, I got to do electrolysis every day. I've got 5 o'clock shadow. I had to get jobs, and people be like, well, uh, it's a little harder for us, hormones, everything like that. Like, not to say that money can just solve issues, but I'm sure to have better funds, I'm sure the transition was easier.
An exorbitant amount of money. um,
Yeah.
as far as and this is me asking as somebody who's never had a legitimate relationship to speak of, in your opinion, is the subject of being trans important outside of a romantic relationship? Because I feel like there are people who expect a trans person to disclose that they're trans even if it's a social relationship. I mean, what is your opinion of that? Because I feel like I don't, for and me knowing you, being trans is not your identity. Like, I mean,
Right.
I understand to some extent it is, and I don't mean to discount that, but I don't think, knowing you the way I do, I don't think you're going to be the type of person to say, go up and immediately without provocation say, "Hi, I'm Mallissa, I'm trans." It's like it's something that's a part of you, but it doesn't define you. It just helps you understand, like it helps you be happy with yourself.
Right. Um, unless somebody asks me, I don't say anything. I've had uh recently I've had people at my job that didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
They just thought I was a really bold, loud woman. And then I was like, you know, and then that even came off like, oh, well, good for you, and it's like, well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, I don't feel like I have to justify myself to people. I'm just me.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to live my life. I want to pay my bills. When I have a relationship, if they are comfortable, like if they're comfortable releasing that I'm trans, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's not one of those secret, not spoke about things because I don't ever want somebody to feel uncomfortable around me.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be, I want, if I'm walking into the store with my partner and they're holding my hand, I want to know that this person has my back in case
Mm-hmm.
something does happen,
Mm-hmm.
and I would never put myself in a situation where I wouldn't be able to handle myself. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Um,
I mean,
I,
you've
I
got
love,
good you've got good aim with a stiletto, so I mean, you can always handle yourself. I mean,
yes. I'm also built like a linebacker, so
um, and I think that was actually as far as the physical appearance difference. I think that was what was different for me when I first saw you in that setting, like at the bar, because it was the first time I had seen you at that time in drag. Um, when I worked with you at the park, and please know that this is not meant to be insulting at all, but you were this. I'm short and I look like a potato, but seeing you walking through the park, like you were tall and skinny, and I'm like, wait, I could snap that person like a twig, and I'm not even that strong. So, the physical difference was different, but like I said, it didn't matter to me because it's still the same heart and soul that I connected with. You just happen to look different.
yeah, yeah. It I mean, there's the difference between drag queens and trans women. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people are uneducated. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a drag queen." No, I do not take off all of this and turn into a guy.
Right.
I did not do this to myself. I did not grow these to hide them and become a guy. No, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I feminized myself. Um, and drag queens, they prefer to be men
Mm-hmm.
or beautiful feminine men. I don't know, androgynous, I guess.
Yeah. David
Because I
Bowie.
love my I love my drag queens. I love them.
Yeah.
Uh, but when I first started out, I loved being a drag queen because I could be glamorous, I could be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I could wear clothes that women wouldn't necessarily wear.
Yeah.
And heels that women wouldn't necessarily wear unless you're a stripper on a pole. So, giving that glamazon effect helped me turn into this glamazon that you see before you.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's, I don't know.
um, I want to jump back into the music aspect of this because I really want to get into some of the emotional side of it. Um, you say, I mean, obviously, I know working on yourself and being happier is a process, but do you find yourself listening to different things now than you did, say, 10, 15 years ago, based on, how you're feeling internally? Because the one thing that has always been described to me is um, when you're happy, you hear the music. When you're sad, you understand the lyrics. So I'm curious
Yes.
from, you know, even before we met up until now, have you found that you're able to listen to different things and take different things away from music based on your own personal comfort?
Yes. Um, Depending on my mood or depending on what I'm currently going through, I will pick the music, you know, accordingly because
Mm-hmm.
when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, ugh, I gotta do this. I'm gonna put on some pumped up music that's gonna get me amped and ready to go. I mean, even with my makeup, I could it changes the music changes the way I do my makeup. Like if
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to Essence, I'm coming out with some like dark smoky eyes, a little bit goth, you know, or if I'm just listening to like Lady Gaga or Mariah Carey or Toy Box, Aqua. My music is gonna be my makeup is gonna be really cutesy, pink, and like fun. So, and when I'm trying to meditate and focus on myself and work on myself, even with my writing,
Mm-hmm.
my music more. I listen to a lot of classical music. I've always listened to classical music. Um, and I I sing, not well, might I add, but I do sing vibratically. I don't know if that's a word, but I do, and my neighbors probably hate me because I'll put on songs that I know I can't reach it, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to. And
Yeah.
I dance around, I twirl, I flip my hair, you know, and the music builds my mood. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if I'm sad and I want to get happy,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna listen to something that's more upbeat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I just want to put this out there. If Tarzan and Jane get stuck in my head after this stream, I'm going to blame you. As much as I love you, I'm going to blame you because I haven't thought about that song in probably 5 years. Um,
Oh my
but it brings me back to when you and
Charlie.
was it you and Charlie or was it you and Rob? Because I know
No.
You and Rob Monrian did it a few times too.
Yes. Well,
It
it
was
was
primarily
sometimes
Charlie because
hard.
I think Charlie looked better as Tarzan.
Yes. Charlie was my original man. Um, and I did a lot of fun songs like that.
Mm-hmm.
I did Tarzan and Jane. I did Sweet Little Bumblebee. I did Tina Turner. And people remembered the song and the dance. And even with Hairspray, when I did Hairspray with Aquanetta and you know you remember the dance moves and
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
when I go like this, everybody knows I'm doing Tarzan and Jane.
Mm-hmm.
You expect me out of the wings doing a cartwheel. So,
Mm-hmm. Do you
and that's other people.
yeah. Do you remember, and I think this was always the song you started out with just to let people know you were there. Do you remember the song um, that you used to come out with all the time at the bar? Like it I'm not going to remember the name of it, but I literally just downloaded it and set it as your ringtone. It's by Jennifer Holliday. Something woman's got the strength, woman's got the power.
Oh,
It was yeah. I literally just set that as your ringtone because every time I think of you, that song gets stuck in my head, and the goofiest fucking smile is usually on my face after that happens because that is the one thing that I connect to you, and it puts me automatically in a good mood because I remember how much fun you looked like you were having on the stage when you used to come out to that song.
yeah.
And what were what for any song that you did by yourself, what were some of the songs that you most enjoyed doing? Like you got the most joy out of?
Oh, well, okay, so there's a few. Obviously, Tarzan and Jane was one of my favorite songs because, to get the audience participation, that was everything. Um, Celine Dion, Rolling in the Deep.
That was Adele.
No, maybe it's not. No, it was Celine Dion. I don't know. It was something about rolling. But Tina Turner, obviously, everybody
Mm-hmm.
loved that. Um, and a few of my Mallissa Capri mixes that
Mm-hmm.
people just love. When I did Sextasy, everybody loved that because they knew the spin was coming into the cartwheel, into the split. Like I was known for, ripping out a split right on the floor. Boom, cartwheel, split. I was known for that.
Yeah.
Um, and everybody loved that. That they knew I was going to do some kind of a cartwheel into a split. They
Mm-hmm.
knew they were going to probably some really skimpy clothes, and I think that my dog is scratching herself. Sorry if the camera is going like that's because somebody's scratching. But yeah, I basically whatever people were like, hey Mallissa, are you gonna do this song tonight? I'm like, sure. I may have done that last night, but I'll do it again.
Yeah.
And the rim. Her favorite song that I did was Sextasy, the Sextasy mix,
Mm-hmm.
and that was because you knew the turns were coming. Then once
Mm-hmm.
the turns stopped, then I did the cartwheel into the split, and then I got up and I danced around like a Russian jig, and you knew it was there, and
Yeah.
you could count on it, and you watched, and we're like, oh, here she comes, bam, like I did it, and
Yeah.
I liked people knowing what was going to happen, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Between the bar in Glens Falls and then Rocks and Waterworks, did you ever have different songs that you performed based on the location and based on what audience you knew was going to be there?
Um. Okay, so when I went to New York City to Monster Bar, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a amateur drag show. Oh my, yeah, my rent mix today for you. I called it today for tonight because it went
Yeah.
into out tonight, and it was yeah. So that was like kind of stripper esque, and it was all like yeah. Everybody loved that one because I'd rip off the clothes and there'd be some skimpy stuff, and I'd fling my hair and it'd be super slutty stripper Ella. But they loved
Actually,
it.
that actually brings me into one of my next questions is being a performer. Obviously, you are probably very connected to Broadway. I'm curious, was the first what was the first Broadway play, either on Broadway or off Broadway, that you ever saw? And what is your favorite? Because I want to make sure and say this because of you, and I believe his name is Joe Daly. He was Harmony Chanel. Because of the two of
Yeah,
you, because of the two of you, I actually fell in love with Rent and went to see it when it was at Proctor's Theater
yes.
because of seeing the two of you perform it. So I'm curious, from a Broadway perspective, what was the very first Broadway production you saw? Was it on or off? And then what is your favorite one that you've seen?
Um, my all-time famous, like best ever was when I went to New York City and saw Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
I mean, Phantom of the Opera forever will be my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Hmm. Um, Rent. I mean, it spoke to me a lot. You
Mm-hmm.
know. But my uh, musically wise,
Mm-hmm.
everybody loves Wicked because it's
Yep.
Wicked. Um, and I guess Legally Blonde. I did a lot of Legally Blonde.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's also the energy that the performers in the musical, how you want to emulate them
Mm-hmm.
and pass that bit of joy off in their songs. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
media when they did My Strongest Suit, the costume changes, like I was like, I can do that, and I tried and I did, and it came out great, but everything is a production and a show, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the energy you put behind it. And you know, I don't have to learn lines or anything, but I do have to learn the words of the songs I'm going to sing. So
Mm-hmm. That, yeah.
it's about the energy, you know, that you
Um,
convey.
when when it got revived and came to Proctor's Theater, I actually got to meet Anthony Rapp and Adam Pascal from the original cast.
Yes.
And they were probably two of the coolest human beings I've ever seen. Like they were so down to earth. And
Yeah.
Anthony Rapp actually, not on a regular basis, but almost on a regular basis, will reach out to me and say hello every now and again, which is really cool. Um,
Awesome.
but yeah, I mean, my mom, like theater and Broadway and all that and dance has always kind of been present in my life because my mom did all that kind of stuff with stage production and she was a dancer. Um, so it's always been a part of me, kind of something I've been interested in. But I think when you and Joe got me interested in Rent by doing Take Me or Leave Me, I think that was really where I started to understand the impact of what stage production was because I instantly went out and bought saw the movie, and then shortly after that was when they revived it and brought it to the stage to Proctor's. And it's still one of the biggest thrills that I got to see that. And
Yeah.
like I said, I have you to thank for that because you maybe it was because you were performing it, but you got me interested in it, or I connected with it in a way that I wanted to know more about it. And I think that's really the crux of um, any type of human interaction. You want to make sure that you know you connect with somebody so that you're interested in learning about them because there are going to be people you're not going to want to learn about, and that's fine. But I think those people
Yeah.
that you actively want to learn about, those are the ones that are going to be important in your life because they're the ones that are ultimately going to teach you something because you're going to be open to learning from them. So,
You know, I I hear what you're saying, and it's like I have had to. I also have reached out and helped with the transgender youth.
mhm.
I even had to go to a school and talk to a teacher because there was a transgendered youth that wanted to use the bathroom, and the teacher decided to call the student in it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and stopped the whole class and was like, well, it has to use the bathroom. It needs to go and use special privileges to use a bathroom because we have a different gender than everyone else. It was like, who are you?
yeah.
You're an educator of children and you're calling somebody a human being an it. What would you do if somebody did that to your own child? Where do
Hmm.
you feel entitlement where you can Oh, it. And believe me, I've been called it before, and that irks me, but you are an educator. You're supposed to be, you know, teaching people tolerance, and
Hmm.
all you're doing is showing hate.
Especially towards a
So
child.
interesting, especially to a child. I mean, the suicide rates in the transgender community is ridiculous,
Hmm.
and I reach out to a lot of people, and if I can help in any way, I do. And now that I'm free again, I can even travel to different states again and go and
Hmm.
see children. And you know it's okay. Life is going to get better. Right now we're in high school, middle school, whatever, but you're going to be okay, because look at how awesome life can be once you're away from everybody else who's closed minded and don't know
Yeah.
anything about dysphoria or what you're going through.
Hmm.
And it
Um,
sucks. That's how
be-
it is these.
because I think with any human, whether they are, LGBT or not, I think you're always just trying to figure out. I think you constantly go through life trying to figure out who you are, because I don't think who you are at age 5 is going to be who you are at age 35. So I think you're constantly kind of figuring out who you are in each stage of life. And I think that people need to realize that you know you just need to have an understanding of yourself so that you have the ability to understand other people.
More of an open mind, I guess I would say. Because
Yeah.
I've met some straight men that are like, "You're what?" And then they get to know me and they're like, "Yo, you're cool as hell. I could probably throw the football with you and then fix a car. And then, like, if you want to go shopping, I'll sit through that. But it's like treating me like a woman, but I'm also like, I call myself the best of both worlds, because I still look beautiful and feminine, but I can also help you rip apart a car and throw the football, play soccer, go fishing, do all those things. And it's like, I'm just another person.
um, that actually brings up something from my notes. As far as, do you think that there is an idea that the LGBT community needs to be what they call a hive mind, where everybody needs to think the same? Because you just said, you can do the girly things and all the frilly stuff, but you can also rip apart a car. And I think right now a lot of the narrative that people are hearing is this hive mind mentality, where each community has to think the same way and fall in lockstep with each other, or else they get ostracized. They all need to have the
Right.
same thoughts. And so, and the other day you actually posted something, um, not to get too political, but you had posted something, um, about a story about, something that the president was doing, and you said that while the decision made you, a little bit disheartened, that you still supported him. And a lot of people didn't seem to like the fact that you made that distinction.
Yes.
They seem to think, well, you're part of a protected class that he seems to dislike. But so I'm curious, do you believe in the, I mean, obviously you don't, but what is your opinion of the hive mind mentality that exists in the LGBT community?
Well, I think what it is, okay, do you remember? Now we're going back. Do you remember that first commercial? I think it was something Vogue did. It was two men and they kissed on a commercial on TV, and it
I
was
think
like
so.
mind blown. And there was a lot of flack for that, and but the community has done so much. We have gone through so much to feel and get our rights, and it's like some of the newer people in our community don't understand what what had to go through to get to where we are now, to where we're just, gay is okay, trans is okay. Before it was like, what? And I try not to be political at all
Hmm.
because I I get a lot of, what, I lost a bunch of my friends on Facebook because um I support Donald Trump.
Hmm.
And you know what? As a woman from a military family, um, go Trump. That's all I
Yeah.
gotta say.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not going into the whole. Well, he says this about the trans
Yeah.
community or the gay community. Show me the facts. Show
Yeah.
me literally doing this. Show me him saying it. But at the same time, look what else he's done for our community. So before everybody comes at me, because I know I'm probably going to get flack for this, and if my thoughts are my thoughts.
Yeah.
I've raised a certain way with my family. I'm proud of my family. My brother is active in military. My sister is active. My family is everything. I've been raised a certain way.
Hmm.
So judge me for that, okay. But if you're going to be like coming for me, then we were never really friends because
Right.
me, I'm not very political. I don't pull the card. So I feel like, you know, if it's not directly hurting me, I'm just going to go about my day and do my work.
Hmm.
That's all.
I like that. Um, and I think people miss a lot of the nuance in political stuff. Like they need to. I think in, instead of looking at it from a political perspective, I think they need to develop the ability to look at it from a logical perspective. And if they look at things with a more logical perspective, I don't think there is like the existence of bias exists in the political world. But I think if you're looking at something logical, bias cannot exist when you're approaching something from a logical standpoint. So I think that if we look at things from a more logical standpoint, the bias goes away.
Right.
Um,
It all
curious.
stems down to being educated.
Yep. Um, curious. When was your first concert that you ever went to, and what was it? And I'll just throw this out there. I'm scared to admit mine. You'll laugh, but the internet will laugh at me. Oh, I'm waiting for you to tell me yours first because mine's something in the or the a skeleton in the closet.
Um, okay, so my first concert was at a Yak. Yak is I was a youth minister back in the
Mhm,
day, and
mhm.
the Christian band that I went to see, and they were amazing. Um, it was amazing, and I was I was really I loved it. It was amazing, and even through their words, I felt touched by what the message they were sending. A lot of people get scared of faith and religion or try and, say there is no higher power or anything like that. But, you know, I I take that with a grain of salt because I was raised going to church, um, and I do feel I have a higher power. Now, my higher power is those who I have lost.
Hmm.
because they're going to look out for me and help me every day in life. Um, my higher power is my mom,
Hmm.
my best friend that passed away, my ex boyfriend, And when people say, well, what's your opinion on God? I say, well, it's good, orderly direction. God.
I I've never heard that, and I love it.
Yeah.
That is incredible. I've never heard that.
Yep.
Um, yeah, my first concert. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it, but I know how people will react. I was 15, so I'm just gonna put that out there, and it was Britney Spears.
Yes! Go, Brittany!
It
Brittany!
was it was her "Oops, I Did It Again" tour. My mom realized I was having trouble in school and wanted to give me some incentive to pass ninth grade. And she took and you know me, like people pick on me for being so short and not being able to reach certain things. I swear this shit had put concert tickets on my ceiling above my bed so that I could look at them every time I woke up and motivate me to actually, pass ninth grade so that I could go see Britney Spears at Saratoga Performing Arts Center. And yeah, that was my first concert. And
Wow.
like I said, I don't regret it, but yeah, I still want to find a way to get my mom back for putting the damn tickets on the goddamn ceiling.
Nice. Yeah. Nice.
Um, what is your favorite concert that you've been to?
Ooh. Well, it was supposed to be my favorite, but I missed it because I got called into work. It was Evanescence and Lacuna Coil because I love me some Lacuna Coil. Mm,
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
it's my
Yeah, I remember they toured in Glens Falls
yeah.
together, and I saw that show, and it made me fall in love with Christina Scabia from Lacuna Coil. Like nobody has a voice like her,
I mean,
and
beautiful.
and then Amy Lee, like there's just no comparison. Like you can't compare her to anybody. That woman's got that woman's got some power that doesn't exist on Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But oh, so bringing up concerts,
mhm.
you remember Cafe Lena's in Saratoga Springs?
Sure, I never went there, but I remember it.
I,
Oh, hold on. Is your audio's muted again? There we go.
did I do that?
Maybe.
Damn those people calling me, Bill.
Okay, what about Cafe Lena?
Did I? I was like, hello, I'm podcasting here. I saw Ani DeFranco at Cafe Lena's before she was famous.
Oh
And it
wow,
was the most amazing thing ever. Ever.
wow. Yeah, I don't listen to her often, but I listen to her every now and again. Her music is I love her music.
Oh
Um,
gosh, yeah.
I think my favorite one, and this is weird because the do you remember like what song or band got you listening to music?
Creed.
Really? Wow. Okay. Mine. I was 8 years old, and it was Guns N' Roses, Paradise City. And in 2017, I finally got to see them live for the first time, and that was like the pinnacle of my life right there because they're the reason that I started listening to music. And then, although I don't want to drift too far into it because it's an emotional thing, um, I think when I started listening to Linkin Park, that's when I really started connecting with music. And because that's actually the whole reason I started this series was because I wanted this series to be able to pay tribute to Chester Bennington and to Linkin Park as a band. So that's why I started this series. But unfortunately, I never got to see Linkin Park live. But I think my favorite concert probably would have to have been Godsmack,
Okay.
because I have never seen the level of energy at a concert that I saw with Godsmack. Um, maybe the same type of energy when I went to see Disturbed, but still, like, Godsmack is just a completely different experience when you get to see them live.
Right.
And you're familiar having living where you live. I'm sure you're familiar with the Palace Theater.
Yes.
Okay, the Palace Theater, I guess, when they signed the Americans with Disabilities Act back in 1990, the Palace Theater, I guess, was grandfathered in, so they didn't require it to put in access for wheelchairs or people who had difficulty getting around. So they didn't have an elevator. Well, I went to the Palace Theater to see Godsmack, and we found out that the VIP party was actually on the top floor, which they didn't have an elevator to get there. So somebody went directly to Solierna, lead singer, and they told him the problem, and he got pissed. Like, he was mad. So he and the entire band came down to the first floor where I was and spent an hour and a half with me personally, like, one on one, before they even went up to the VIP thing. And I think that was probably the greatest experience I've had at a show, because
Wow.
they always say don't meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. Because
Yes.
I understand that performing, and you can attest to this probably. I understand performing, you have to put on a persona, but meeting any musician or performer that I've met, their persona is almost very much in line with their personality. And I think that's why I've always enjoyed meeting the people that I kind of hold in a higher regard, because I hold them in a higher regard because they're true to themselves. And
Yeah.
I think that's why I connect so well with you, because regardless of, you know, what you look like physically, you've always been true to yourself. Like, your personality never changed. And I think that right there is, the example of what a human being should be. Like, things shouldn't change your personality. You should always strive to be happy, and you should always strive to make sure that people are happy around you. Not that you're beholden to them, but you should always make sure that, you know, you are acting in such a way that people want you around.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. I've
um,
inspired with my performers, um, a lot of my girls, and even before I became trans, um, a lot of the girls that I inspired basically told me that I inspired them because of who I was, how much fun I had, and they wanted to emulate that, and they wanted to be, free, like when they saw me performing, because there was
mhm.
just this joy that I gave off apparently when I was dancing, because I myself felt free and I could connect with you and bring you in while I'm dancing.
And I mean, regardless of whether it's music or dance or even, outside of that world, are you just naturally somebody who tries to connect emotionally with as many people as you can?
Yes.
Yeah. Um,
Even food. Like, because I'm a cook.
yep.
I absolutely love cooking for people and watching them eat their food and be like, damn, that was good.
Yeah.
Because, you're connecting, you're creating this for them. So
Hmm.
then when they eat it, they're, wow, like I'm gonna remember this and I'm gonna come back for it. So even my cooking, my dancing, all of it, I try and put my best foot forward.
Hmm. In our lifetime, having given all of those examples as ways that you can connect with people, in our lifetime, do you ever see people? You're making me dizzy. um, do you ever see people looking, actively searching for things they can connect with, or do you see people consistently trying to, put forth the things that they know they're going to disagree on? Because I'm sure that, I'm sure there are things that you and I may disagree on. I don't know what they are, but I don't think it matters to me because I'm so, like, I feel like a healthier person because of, having you in my life. And I don't necessarily think that I would ever want to jeopardize that. Um, I think we also have the ability to have a conversation, even if we find something we disagree on. I think we have the maturity to have a conversation about it and figure out if it really matters.
Yeah, I know there's probably things. I dropped my phone. There's probably things we don't agree on, and but that all stems from, again, misconception or lack of education.
Hmm.
Because what worked for me would not work for you, or how I do things is different from how you do them. But at the same time, we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how you get to that final, que sera, sera. But it's just like you do it.
I don't know why that when you just said Que Sera Sera, it reminded me of a movie. And I don't know, I think it had something to do with the movie briefly. What is your opinion? And I won't go too far into the individual actresses in the movie because I don't really have a good opinion of them. But what is your opinion of Beaches, the movie from like the 80s with Bette Midler? Do you remember that movie?
Yes.
Oh no. Okay. Staying strictly within the confines of the movie, what's your opinion of the movie?
It wasn't that. It was. Oh, it was a good movie.
Oh, okay. Um, I, I like the
Yeah.
movie just because it reminds me of when I was growing up, but I have an issue, and this is why I tend not to like social media because, and this is probably why they say don't meet your heroes. Um, I because of social media, I found out the type of person that Bette Midler really is, and she is just a very bitter human being. At least that's the way that she portrays herself on Twitter. Um, so it's weird to me. I I don't think celebrities, at least on a personal level, I don't think celebrities should be allowed on social media. I think they should be allowed on social media to promote their projects, but I don't think that we should, if they should be allowed on social media, but I don't think that fans should have access to them on a personal level like that because they can have their opinions and that's fine. But I think it ruins our ability to connect with them through their work
Yeah.
because they celebrities have become celebrities have be, you know celebrities think they are the voice of reason, and I think they are the ones that are really dividing people. And I don't like where the entertainment world is going.
But that can also okay. So this is one of my pet peeves with the El Grande master of ceremonies. Yeah, I disagree with Trump sometimes
Hmm.
with his Twitter account.
Oh,
With some of the things,
absolutely.
I, I'm like, okay, first of all, you're a president. I don't think your opinion should be worded like you do. You're a
Yeah,
president. You know, I just I disagree with him being that public. I feel like there should have been a different standard for being the president. I mean,
I
he is who he is, and he is outspoken and pretty freaking awesome about that. But at the same time, you stepped up to a different role, so
right,
you should not have kept yourself here when you raised yourself to here.
right,
You know what?
and yeah, and I think he relies a lot on Twitter so that he can circumvent the media because the media is not good to him. So
No.
I like the fact that he uses and I like the fact that he uses his personal Twitter account. He doesn't use the POTUS account to say the things that he does. I respect him for that. But you're right. I don't think I think he needs to be a little bit more. I think his ability to speak needs to be a little bit more polished.
Right.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I
but I mean,
got it. Like Bill Clinton, freaking. If we even went back farther, JFK. If this was something back then, and the presidents were allowed to have Twitter accounts, okay. But it's just like it was new. I didn't hear Obama twittering. So I maybe I'm old fashioned in that sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm just his Twitter account has more followers than mine, but he's president. Damn it. So
um, yeah, I mean, I think that on a personal level, fans shouldn't because when you and I were growing up, there was a disconnect between the fans and the celebrities, and
yes,
that was for the celebrities to maintain a personal life. And I respected that. I thought that was good because I saw what the media was writing about the celebrities and it was vile and it was all lies. But now that the celebrities essentially have social media and they're not being careful with the things that they say, we're finding out more that these people aren't who they portray themselves as on TV. So
yeah,
they're exposing what's in their heart. And I, I don't like a lot of the hearts that I see. And it's
yeah,
for lack of a better word, it's disheartening.
yeah. It is.
And that's why I think that having the influence I've had from you, it helps me see a person's heart better because you never changed what was in your heart. You just wanted to see the person in the mirror staring back at you that you saw in your head and in your heart. That's all you
Yeah,
wanted to do. And the fact that you never changed what was in your heart as far as you connecting with other people, that is what people need to look at as something to strive for. Whether you're trans or not, you don't need to change what's in your heart when you're involving other people.
yes.
So,
And I think it's on the base of people like to call me true blue because I say it how it is. If
mhm.
I don't like something, I'm gonna tell you. If I don't like the way you're treating somebody, I'm gonna tell you. If I just, you know, and a lot of people want to sugarcoat stuff, okay?
Mhm.
Oh, honey, maybe you should go about it. No, You're not doing anybody good sugarcoating it. Say what you mean and mean it.
Hmm.
It's tough, and maybe that's a little bit on how I was raised, but you know, I've I've tried to be as honest as I can with people,
Hmm.
and even now, even more now, and honestly, I find that people like me better because I am so honest.
Yeah, because I think when I mean I like things that are unexpected, but I think when it comes to interaction with people, I like knowing what to expect so that you know the so I know what the person is going to be like. Like I know the type of person I'm going to be interacting with. I don't need to be comfortable, but I just need to know what I'm getting myself into so that I can know how it's going to pan out. So, um, couple more things I wanted to get into, but one thing that keeps kind of beating me in the head, I don't want to forget it. Um, Somebody recently, within the last couple of months, I had heard them talk about their coming out story.
Hmm.
And the one thing that they said that really resonated with me, because it was something obviously, because I'm not part of the LGBT community, it's not something that I've never had to think about, but they said that they don't really subscribe to the concept of coming out. It's more for them, it's more about letting people in. And
Yes.
for you, I'm curious, what is it more important for people to accept you or to understand you?
Understand me. Because I really could care less whether somebody accepts me,
Hmm.
but to understand me as a human being, absolutely.
Hmm.
To judge a book by its cover, I mean, everybody does that.
Hmm.
Everybody does that every single day. But then if you hear their story, know their pain, uh, hear some of their experiences, you're going to learn eventually you might have something in common with them.
Hmm.
You might learn something from them. You might be able to connect on an emotional level that you were not able to connect with somebody else. And when people act scared or
Hmm.
they don't understand me, I I just go about my day.
Hmm.
If you're going to put yourself in my life and try to talk to me and understand me, I will put my energy out there for you
Hmm.
and show you I'm pretty freaking awesome. I've got a great attitude and I'm full of knowledge and experiences that might shock you and help you.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's a lot of different things that I think people need to go through and educate.
Is as far as the idea of coming out, do you or is coming out more for the person coming out or for the people around them? Does it benefit the person coming out or does it benefit the people around them?
I don't think it's actually a thing of coming out at all. I think it's here I am, take me as I am, you know?
Take me or
Because
leave me.
exactly, take me or leave me because you can either accept me or not. And it's like, I'm sorry that you don't want to accept me and you don't want to maybe open yourself up to something that you haven't experienced. But at the same time, I've met people that I'm like, I would never want to. And then I learn something and I experience something And if you put yourself out there, and so I guess it comes down to, in a movie, this guy took 10 seconds of bravery.
Mm-hmm.
And during those 10 seconds, he did something that he wouldn't normally do. And I
Mm-hmm.
do that. If I see that somebody's interested in me, I go, and I take those 10 seconds to like walk up and be like, hi, my name is Mallissa. And it's like, it's those 10 seconds that change, make or break a situation. And it's like, sometimes when I counsel some of my fellow AA friends and people of sobriety, I tell them, take that 10 seconds and just go for it, because you're going to find different experiences, different paths, different ways to go about things. And like, my one friend was having a horrible, horrible time. He was like, that's it. I'm going to the store. I'm going to get a bottle and I'm going to drink it. Screw sobriety. And I was like, hey, there's the spirit. Woo, go for it. I said, but before you do that, I'm kind of hungry. Will you go to McDonald's, get me a double cheeseburger, maybe some chicken tenders and French fries, and bring that over here? So he did, right? And then he's gonna kill me for this. And then he calls me as he's leaving the store, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna head over to you in like 15 minutes. You want anything else?" I was like, "No." He's like, "All right, well, I'm coming over." I was like, "Actually, I'm not really hungry." He's like, "Do you know I just wasted that money instead of getting a bottle?" I'm like, "Yes, but now you have chicken tenders, you have burgers and French fries to bring home to your kids and your wife, and that bottle of liquor is no more."
Have you ever thought of getting a psychology degree? Because that was genius.
I mean, sometimes you have to put it out there and see what happens. And
Yeah.
it was the funniest thing, and I felt bad, but at the same time, he still has his sobriety. He's going on to 1 year, 2 months as of 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Oh, I have to message him.
um, a couple more things before we end, because I know that I've taken up a lot of your time. Um, what is obviously being a dancer, you connect on a different emotional level to music. What is one lyric that you can think of that really resonates with you?
Um, One lyric. I don't. It's a Christina Perry song.
I love
Do you know?
Christina Perry. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that song.
It's right in the song. God, I wish I could remember the lyric. But every time I hear that song, that one lyric always sticks out to me, and I can't even think of it right now.
Hmm.
But it's something about I am human, I bleed, and
I
I don't
bleed
know.
when
The
I,
first
I,
time I
I,
heard it,
yeah, I know the song. I listen to it all the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like she said it perfectly.
Hmm. Um, Lastly, what is, if you could give any message to the LGBT community and, outside communities, what is one thing you want the LGBT community to maybe recognize about themselves, and one thing that you want them to understand about people outside their community, as kind of a way to bring the communities closer together?
To know that, okay, whew, this, wow, killer. Okay. I, Mallissa Capri, running for Miss Universe. No, okay. Um, whew, it's it would have to be know that hate and words of hate are coming from uneducation. Give them a second chance and know that eventually somebody's going to come across their path that is going to make an impact. And that even though they're prejudiced and judge you, they too are being judged every day. So sometimes the negativity that's being thrown your way isn't necessarily directed at you or at you.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of jumping off the handle like we all like to do,
Mm-hmm.
take a breath, walk away, and try and avoid putting negative energy out there and hate, because I feel like even though somebody's going to say something horrible, or if we stop it right there, it can't go any further.
Right.
So remember to just breathe. And as long as they're not doing physical harm to you, it's not directed at you.
I like that. What is one thing that you now want to tell yourself, say at 20 or at 21?
um, okay. If I You're going to be okay. You're going to make it. And just remember, not everybody is out to hurt you.
I like that. Now there's one last thing, and it's a promise that I want you to make me. The next
Okay.
time the next time I come into town, we go to dinner.
That's a deal.
Or, well, this is going to sound sexist and people are going to attack me for it, or you can make me dinner.
I would love to cook for you. As a chef, I would love to cook for you. You tell me what your favorite thing in the world is, and I will cook it for you, because I love that moment of people watching me cook, and then my moment of watching them eat it.
I'm actually going to turn that around a little. I want you to cook your favorite thing for me, because there's something I did with my cousin a couple of months ago, and I actually talked about this in the first episode. Um, I asked her, because she's like 15, I think, and I asked her, I was like, if I was just getting to know you and I was just meeting you, what are 5 songs that you would ask me to listen to that would help me get to know you better? And I think for you, I want to be able to sit down with you at the dinner table and have your favorite meal, because I mean, we've known each other for 15 years, but there are still things we don't know about each other. And I think
Exactly.
that I want to know more. I want to know more about you. So when I come up, I want you to make me whatever is your favorite dish, as long as it doesn't have mushrooms in it. I'm not a fan of mushrooms, because you don't want to see the reaction that creates. That's just bad.
I'm totally fine with that.
All right. I had an absolute blast with this conversation. I hope we can do it again. And
I would
I'm looking forward to all of this stupid COVID stuff being done so I can come back up to New York and see you.
yes.
But on that note, I love you. Take care of yourself, and we will talk soon.
I love you too. It was amazing talking with you.
Bye.
Blessings.